All right, good evening. It's 6:19. At this point, we will reconvene open session. We have readout from closed session.
Here, the action taken on a 5-0 vote with Trustee Padberg absent. The board approved an intermittent personal unpaid leave with benefits effective March 10th to August the 28th, 2015 for a classified manager at Irvine Valley College.
All right, and then next we have the invocation led by Trustee Wright and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Jemal.
Our Father, who art in heaven, we thank Thee for gathering us together in this Board of Trustees meeting. We thank Thee for the freedoms that we have and to live in this great land of America. Our thoughts and condolences are with Bobby Jay and her family this evening. We also pray for the health and well-being of our trustee, Nancy Padberg. We pray for our military members and our veterans, and specifically we pray for those serving overseas. We are thankful for our students and our dedicated faculty, staff, and administration in our district. Bless our Board of Trustees, our Chancellor, and all in attendance in our decisions and efforts this evening. We also pray for rain, that it might relieve us from our current drought. We sincerely pray in His name. Amen.
Please join with me in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have resolutions. First resolution.
Tonight we have 6 resolutions to present. In the interest of time, we're going to read a short summary of each resolution. The first resolution is for Trustee Bill Jay. I understand, and I see his wife, Bobby, is here. That's wonderful. Bobby, can you join, please, the board president and the chancellor at the podium? Dr. William O. Jay, Board of Trustees. Whereas Dr. William O. Jay served at Saddleback College for 22 years and was key in developing the off-campus programs to start Irvine Valley College. He joined the Board of Trustees in 2004, and whereas Dr. Jay demonstrated immense support through his involvement in college and district activities and events including commencements, foundations, nursing and health sciences, student veterans, groundbreakings, fine arts events, community forums, and the development of the Advanced Technology and Educational Park. And whereas Dr. Jay touched many lives during his long and successful career, always making time to listen to faculty, students, and staff. He'll be forever remembered for being open, kind, funny, and genuine in his desires to make a difference in student lives. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby express their deepest appreciation to Dr. Jay for his dedication to faculty, staff, and administrators throughout our district and his enduring contributions to generations of students at Saddleback College, Irvine Valley College, and the Advanced Technology and Educational Park. We'll ask Grace to take a roll call.
Trustee Jemal.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye. The next resolution is for Beverly Johnson, 2014 District Services Administrator/Manager of the Year. Whereas Beverly Johnson, Executive Assistant to the Vice Chancellor of Human Resources, has been selected as the 2014 District Services Administrator/Manager of the Year, and whereas Beverly Johnson is known to bring dependability and attentiveness to her work, which is appreciated by many, including 20 faculty members on the Sabbatical Leave Committee who rely on her for critical information, and whereas during meetings to resolve differences and promote diplomatic resolutions, Beverly Johnson brings precision to tracking complex negotiations. One CSEA member said, "I cannot emphasize enough her executive role in these meetings." The district is very fortunate to have such an outstanding employer with great intelligence and leadership. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate Beverly Johnson and hereby bestow the award of 2014 District Services Administrator/Manager of the Year. Grace, would you take a roll call, please?
Yes. Trustee Jemal.
Aye.
Trustee Lang. Aye. Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye. And from Saddleback College, 2 managers were chosen to receive the President's Innovative Award: Michael James and Louis Sessler. 2014 Saddleback College President's Administrator/Manager Award for Leadership and Innovation. Whereas Michael James, Assistant Director of Facilities, and Louis Sessler, Facilities Manager and Energy Project Manager, were selected as the 2014 Saddleback College President's Administrator/Manager Award for Leadership and Innovation. And whereas Saddleback College experienced a main water line break and failure on October the 7th, 2014, that shut down all the water supply to the campus and caused substantial damage to the Advanced Technology and Applied Science Building and Automotive Technology Facility. And whereas due to the immediate and capable response of Michael James and Louis Sessler, the necessary repairs and plan of action were completed in a timely and effective manner that allowed restoration of water services and subsequent resuming of instruction and student services within 24 hours. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate Michael James and Louis Sessler for earning the 2014 Saddleback College President's Administrator/Manager Award for Leadership and Innovation. Grace, please take a roll call.
Trustee Jemal. Aye. Trustee Lang. Aye. Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye. And now Irvine Valley College. Dr. Linda Fontanilla, Vice President of Student Services, 2014 Outstanding Irvine Valley College Administrator of the Year. Whereas Dr. Linda Fontanilla, Vice President for Student Services of Irvine Valley College, has been selected as the 2014 Outstanding IVC Administrator of the Year. And whereas Dr. Linda Fontanilla is a passionate leader who provides unwavering student support services in admissions and records, career and transfer center, child development center, financial aid, guidance and counseling, health and articulation, outreach and community relations, student ambassadors and supportive services, Veterans Center, Extended Opportunities Program and Service, Cooperative Agencies Resources for Education and Disabled Students Program and Services, and whereas Dr. Linda Fontanilla's leadership was integral in developing the IVC Student Equity Plan and the Student Success and Support Plan to provide core educational planning services such as orientation, assessment, and achievement to students. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate Dr. Fontanilla and hereby bestow the award of 2014 Outstanding Irvine Valley College Administrator of the Year. Grace, please take the roll call.
Trustee Jemal.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Well, why don't you want to take them together?
And now Dr. Craig Hayward, Director of Planning, Research, and Accreditation, 2014 Outstanding Irvine Valley College Manager of the Year.
Is he there?
I'm sorry. Whereas Dr. Craig Hayward, Director of Planning, Research, and Accreditation at Irvine Valley College, has been selected as the 2014 Outstanding IVC Manager, and whereas Dr. Hayward routinely presents research and data to aid college personnel in effective planning and decision-making and vigorous supports the college strategic planning process as a co-chair of the Instructional Effectiveness Committee, and whereas under his leadership, Dr. Craig Hayward successfully drafted an application for IVC to participate in the White House Commitment to Action on College Opportunity. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate Dr. Craig Hayward for his collaborative work ethic and outstanding service to our district, and hereby bestow the award of 2014 Outstanding Irvine Valley College Manager of the Year. Grace, please take the roll.
Trustee Jemal.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Okay, that concludes our resolutions. We were slated to have commendations, but they are not here, so they will get theirs in the mail. So that brings us to public comments. We have several slips, and what I would like to do at this point is first take care of the ones that are not pulled for faculty contracts so that we can respect their time and have them do theirs, and then we'll give plenty of opportunity for the Faculty Association comments that are slated, and I'll explain those parameters here shortly. So first we have Jim Leach wishing to speak.
President Prendergast, members of the board, Chancellor Portner, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you briefly. I'm Jim Leach, and I am privileged to serve as the president of the Board of Governors of the Saddleback College Foundation. I'm here this evening to provide a brief report on our recent 15th annual gala and to express the gratitude of our board and the staff of the foundation. I'm especially glad to see so many members of the faculty here this evening, since much of our success is attributable to their support and efforts as well. In short, we saw a 15% increase in attendance over last year, bringing us to a paid attendance of over 500 souls. We also raised almost $140,000, and we received almost $10,000 in spontaneous contributions that evening alone. This means that we'll likely surpass last year's overall record of $720,000 in scholarships awarded to over 400 students. And again, our success in this event and all that we do is due in no small part to the support of the faculty, the foundation, and college staff, President Burnett, and each of you. The goal of the gala is to honor, celebrate, and support the students of Saddleback and our benefactors and supporters in the community, and raise a little money at the same time. I know that many of you on the board were able to join us, as well as President Burnett and President Rockmore and others from faculty and staff. I hope you agree this was our best event ever. We had students representing 8 college divisions greeting us as we entered. Decorations spelling out Saddleback adorned the ballroom. Each table was fitted with a beautiful centerpiece designed and made by the horticulture department. And an alum and foundation board member, John Quinlan, was terrific as our MC, and Jason Schmid was honored as our alum of the year. Both of these very successful gentlemen attribute their individual success to their years at Saddleback. Every speaker was spot on in their comments. This year's event saw more alums come home, and from all indications, they had a ball. A member of the speech forensics competition team from the 80s bought a table, invited some of his classmates and professors, and he got such a great response he had to buy a second table. So we had about 20 debaters and orators occupying 2 very loud tables right in the middle of the room. The city of Dana Point purchased a table last year, and they were back this year along with some colleagues and friends from the cities of Rancho Santa Margarita and Mission Viejo. One of the best moments of the evening was when MC John Quinlan introduced Alumnus of the Year Jason Schmid with a video of a play-by-play with Mr. Quinlan in his days as game commentator, calling the action as Mr. Schmid in his days as a Gaucho running back ran for a touchdown in the national championship football season of 1985. And to all this, the wonderful music by Joey Sellers and his band, and it was an evening to be remembered, but not repeated. We're going to do even better next year. On behalf of the Board of Governors of the Foundation and the scholarship recipients here at Saddleback, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Next we have Quinlan Rankin.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is Quinlan Rankin. I speak on behalf of residents of Area 5 where I reside. I just have a few comments, follow-up questions to last month's meeting. I don't know if you will answer or just get questions back to me. The questions that I had were on the general action items, basically covering extensions of contracts. I was concerned that no one asked where the money for those extensions were coming from. Perhaps that was covered in the closed session, I don't know, but it wasn't discussed during the open comments, even though it was one of the action items that was talked about there. There was another computer equipment and related services extension of contract. Again, it wasn't addressed where the money was going to come from, and I was concerned that particular item wasn't addressed as far as how we're spending our money. The final one was about the 5-year construction plan. There were a lot of comments and concerns raised by the board about the order of priority. But in the end, the board went along with the order of priority instead of what I had considered, and what I thought I would ask about was why not proposing an amended form for order of priority or having it sent back for further consideration. Even though there were a lot of questions and it seemed like the board had quite a bit of concern, that wasn't done. So I was curious if you could address that. And then finally, regarding the contract negotiations, I'm curious how the board feels about the fact that the faculty effectively have not had a raise for going on 9 years now. I know that we want to attract and retain qualified and capable and excellent professors, and I think it's difficult to do that when the cost of living is increasing and yet their salaries are not. So I'm curious how you feel about that, especially considering that the revenues in the district do continue to increase, but their salaries are held constant. There's been 2 small cost of living increases, I believe, There might have been one more, but I think it was just 2. And that, I just want to know what you think about that when revenues are going up and their salaries are not. Thank you.
So just a quick answer to one of your questions. Staff will get back to you on the answers to those questions. All right, so next we have all the remaining polls are regarding the faculty contract as addressed by the issue. So we have a couple of things that we need to make sure that we're communicating. Number one, we are supposed to try and keep to 2 minutes for each person. We also have a board policy that states that there's 30 minutes allotted for one topic item, and we have 25 slips. So I teach history, not math, but I'm pretty sure that means we have 50 minutes worth of speakers. I would entertain a motion that we can waive the 30 minutes if and only if speakers keep to 2 minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. We'll do an oral approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. I would add one more caveat, please, is that if each speaker would at least honor not repeating things that have already been said, and if you hear somebody say that what was you were planning to speak, then maybe you could just, waive your time. All right. With that, our first speaker is Blake Stevens, and on deck we have Malia Lee Womack.
Good evening, President Prendergast, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Portner, and especially the faculty contract bargaining team. When I get in trouble at home, my daughter says, "Dad," she's 25, she still says that. My son says, "Check yourself." And my wife says, "Shame on you." And I want you to know I respect all of you. So it pains me to say tonight, shame on you. The faculty contract that was offered, 0.85% cost of living increase after 5 years, is simply offensive. I'd actually like to ask for a show of hands if anybody in this room thinks the true inflation rate is 0.85%. Just a forest of hands didn't go up. I think there needs to be a serious sit-down and discussion rather than a gunfight at the OK Corral negotiation. We're not giving you anything. We're giving you minimum cost of living increase. Maybe we'll amp it up a little bit. It's just, it's patently offensive. I've been in my profession for 40 years. I've negotiated well over 1,000 contracts, and none of them went back and forth from zero to what was being asked for. I just think that's a very wrong approach. Administrators at this college got an 8% pay increase in 2013. It's public record. We all know it. So to come out with a 0.85% offer, again, patently offensive. If you want to really disincentivize and demotivate the faculty, most of whom will work well beyond their contract hours, offer them no pay raise, basically.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So after
Hi.
Ms. Womack, we
thank
have
you.
Loma Hopkins would be next.
Hi, okay, my name is Malia Womack. I'm actually an alumni of Saddleback College, so I would like to speak on behalf of the students here. I was actually a high school dropout, and then I came to Saddleback College, and I had so many dedicated professors that really turned my life around and motivated me to see the true value in academia, and not even just academia, but also in giving back to the community and social justice and just being a good person. And I ended up graduating here with straight A's due to my professors here and their deep investment in me. I then went on to Berkeley, where I graduated with highest honors, and then studied at Columbia University, where I earned a master's. And here I am standing beside the faculty just asking that you honor the hard work and dedication that they give to their students. And it is quite shameful that they haven't received any kind of pay increase, especially when the cost of living is going up. And so I just say on behalf of Saddleback students, like, they have the true opportunity, like the faculty has a true opportunity just to make us really successful. And if you're not investing into the professors, they're not going to invest into the students, or they'll leave and go somewhere else where they will be treated like they should be treated. I mean, I applaud all of you faculty members. So thank you.
Thank you. So after Ms. Hopkins, we have Martin, I think it says Welk, would be next.
Thank you very much. I'm Loma Hopkins. I am on the faculty at Saddleback College, but tonight I want to speak as a taxpayer. I do live in the district and I pay taxes here, so do my neighbors. And I just wanted to point out a few facts that are public record. For the 2014 budget year for this district, it's been identified that there are about $24 million in reserves, just general reserves. There's another $227 million in additional reserves that are set aside for capital outlay with that's not attached to specific projects that are coming on board. In addition, at the beginning of this fiscal year, the district rolled over an additional $44 million. Well, I shouldn't say additional. The district rolled over $44 million that were budgeted but not spent in 2013-14. These are the clear upfront amounts that are visible. And as in any organization, including my own personal budget, other reserves are embedded in various line item accounts, just, the natural way we do budgets. There's cushion everywhere you look. As a taxpayer, these amounts seem excessive to me. I've been taxed, my neighbors have been taxed to provide education for our community, not to hoard the money. So I urge you tonight to spend the money on a meaningful raise for the faculty, as well as additional educational opportunities for the students in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. So after Mr. Welk, we have Mark Blethen.
It's a tough sign to see. Members of the board, Chancellor Portner, presidents in the room, my name is Martin Welk. I've been a faculty member in the district for a quarter of a century at Saddleback College. In that time, I have served as my own department chair. In that time, I have served as a department chair where I worked for free. In that time, I have assigned myself as many as 8 preps in one semester. In that time, I have scheduled myself for 6 days a week. I don't think that I'm the exception. I think that that's more the rule. Recently, during the Great Recession, many of our students could not afford the materials, let alone the tuition. Members in our program donated thousands of dollars of their own money, no fanfare, no big deal, just so those students could take those classes and make those classes. And this is all verifiable. This isn't a Brian Williams story. This is something you can actually go back and confirm and verify. Second, I'd like to speak in favor of the multiple degree aspect in the contract. Several programs do lend themselves to a doctorate program, and I also believe that other programs lend themselves to a multiple degree. I am a multiple degree individual. I feel as if what I have learned in my multiple degree, my multiple graduate degrees, has assisted the students in my classrooms, and it's been an asset for them. Again, I think that equal consideration should be considered for both camps, and it's not to say that one's better or worse than the other, but I do think that there is a time and a place when a multiple degree and where there is not a doctorate program in that particular degree program should be considered. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So after Mr. Blethen, we have Maureen Smith.
Good evening and thank you. The fact that in these current negotiations, it seems that the district has been unable to offer a meaningful raise to all faculty, full-time and part-time, based on the rationale that they simply can't afford it just doesn't ring true. In 2008-2009 budget year, since then, district revenues have gone up every single year, to the tune that now district revenues in this last fiscal year were 18% higher than they were in 2008-2009. But in that time, the faculty have simply gotten a 1% and a 1.5% COLA allowance during those same years. The fact that it can't be afforded doesn't match with the fact that there was a $44+ million beginning balance rollover in this fiscal year alone. And on top of that, since 2008 and 2009, salaries for district service personnel have gone up 21%. These numbers come from the district's own budgets. 21% increase there into administration and bureaucracy when no money or very little money is going toward faculty in the classroom. And ultimately, the only two things a college ever needs, or any educational institution, is a faculty member and a student. Everything else is window dressing. Some mandated, but all you need is a teacher and a student. That's where the money should be going.
So after Ms. Smith, we have April Cubbage. Sorry.
I want to thank faculty on the union who worked so quickly to do the research and give me this fabulous piece of paper and for me to read. We have heard that the district is saying that they do not have the funding to give faculty a salary increase. Recently, the NEA salary statistics were released showing that the average salary at IVC is $88,900 and at Saddleback it's $85,300. How can we, as the richest district in the state, not have money to pay our faculty what we deserve when all the surrounding colleges are paying out much more in salaries? A few examples. Orange Coast College, the average is $96,100. Santa Ana College, $96,900. Riverside College, $94,900. Fullerton College, $104,900. And Maricosta College, $115,500. Thank you.
So after April, we have Kurt Meyer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I'm just going to share with you kind of my story. It's one story. I know it's not uncommon to many of my colleagues that I share this experience with. I love what I do. I bleed my discipline. I'm a sociologist here at Saddleback College. This is my 6th year. And when I walk out of that classroom, I have a high. There's nothing better than meeting with my students, sharing what I have, that knowledge, and inspiring them to do their best. I truly, truly love what I do. What I don't love is that since I've been here, I've had to teach summer 4 full classes every single summer, along with full max load of 8 classes per semester to support myself and my twins as a single mom. I've gotten used to my kids saying to me, "Mom, are you working late tonight?" And in the past 2 years, you know what? They don't even ask me anymore because they know the answer to that question. I'm going to be working late after they go to bed. Not only that, when I work on weekends, every weekend, if I'm going to go away and be in an area that I'm not there, I put an away message on the weekend. Some of my friends think I'm crazy by doing that, but my students need me. I need to be there for them, accessible. I haven't come to these and spoken up on this issue, but this last kind of message that my work doesn't matter, that my kids, the time that I'm devoting and not being with them to give to my students, to this district, to our community, that doesn't matter. That angers me. It makes me think to myself, I'm devoting all of this and I love what I do, but am I crazy for coming here? People, when I was in my PhD program, said, you're not going to get back that investment. They're not going to take care of you. And I thought to the contrary. And as time goes by, as I'm killing myself for this job, I'm a chair of 2 departments right now, I start thinking to myself, I don't know how much longer I can sustain this. But you know who's worth it? Our students are worth it. They're the ones that I keep doing that for because they deserve the best. And on that note, our part-timers need equity. They need office hours. They can't meet with our students if they don't have office hours.
Thank you. So after Mr. Meyer, we have Doug Barr.
My name is Kurt Meyer. I'm a professor of English at Irvine Valley College, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Like many other faculty, I have dedicated my professional life to serving and bettering my college, this district, and our students. Every year, for instance, I invest tremendous time and energy in writing scores of students letters of recommendation for admissions to UCs and top colleges throughout the country, not to mention about 20 letters of rec for IVC Foundation scholarships, after which I read and score 100 to 200 applications, which takes days, not hours, thereby helping students receive scholarships and helping IVC grow its scholarship program. I serve as the institution's nominator for numerous national scholarships. Next Tuesday, I will represent IVC in this district by accompanying our 2 all-state academic team scholarship winners to the Phi Theta Kappa Awards Luncheon in Sacramento. Moreover, every year I mentor a dozen or so students in conducting and presenting research at conferences such as the Honors Transfer Council of California's Building Bridges Research Conference at UCI, which I did this past weekend. Many of our outstanding faculty, full-time and part-time, serve as mentors. I represent IVC in this district and represented them last year along with 1 full-time and 2 part-time colleagues by co-presenting at the National Accelerated Learning Program Conference in Baltimore, and I'm likely to present again this year in Costa Mesa. I serve on 4 committees, not to mention numerous hiring committees. I serve as the SLO liaison for a department whose work this district has held up as a model. For these reasons, I respectfully urge you to recognize the value that I and so many other teachers bring to the district by compensating us reasonably and fairly, which should include a raise and an additional longevity step. I appreciate truly that we pray for dedicated faculty. The righteous thing to do would pay dedicated faculty. Thank you.
After Mr. Barr, we have Lewis Long.
Members of the board, Chancellor, President's negotiating team, I have 2 rhetorical questions. Again, these are rhetorical. If you were permitted to do so right now, would you stand up and be accountable for the district's decision to completely reject the Faculty Association proposal? Second question is, do you believe this is good faith bargaining? Would you stand up and be accountable for that? Third, in my philosophical approach to both teaching and counseling, I'm the glass is half full kind of guy, and I tend to try to see the positive. The only positive I can see from the district's response to the negotiation is you've done a wonderful job helping us recruit association members. Lastly, I will say kumquats have just come into season.
Thank you. After Mr. Long, we have Paula Jacobs.
I'm Lewis Long. I teach English at Irvine Valley College. The South Orange County Community College District is the richest district in the state. And yet, in comparison with the adjoining districts and other basic aid districts in the state, we come in last in the percentage of our revenues we dedicate to faculty salaries and last in the percentage of revenues we dedicate to faculty benefits. This is, as Loma pointed out, an unconscionable use of taxpayer funds. We really need to, and at the same time that we're doing this, on the other hand, we are hiring new administrators at every board meeting, and the administrators throughout the campus, through both campuses in the district, are going through salary increases, through reclassifications, through contract extensions. What's happening is that it looks like we're starting to create an administratively heavy district and diverting funds from the classroom and from our students. And this really needs to be reconsidered as a strategy to serve the public. Thank you.
After Ms. Jacobs, we have Bill Billingsley.
Good evening. As you know, I have worked in this district for a long time, a very long time. I only see two of my colleagues from Irvine Valley who I think have been here longer than I have. And I must say that in all of those years, I don't think I've seen a more disappointing district salary offer in the negotiation process. Our last raise was in 2008-2009, 1%. Our last state-funded COLA was in 2013-2014, 1.57%. That's a total increase of 2.58% on the salary schedule in the last 6.5 years. Now, I know this is a very rich district, and you know this is a very rich district. So I think it's time for us to get serious and make a reasonable offer for a salary increase to our faculty. I'd like to encourage the board to direct the district's team to go back and do a better job and come back with a reasonable offer. Thank you.
After Mr. Billingsley, we have Beverly Hudson-Works.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Bill Billingsley, and I teach history here at Saddleback College. And in full disclosure, I should also identify myself as a contract negotiator for the Faculty Association. However, I stand before you this evening not to negotiate or bargain, but to issue a cautionary note. After works and months of work and meetings, our negotiations have stalled. Despite the Faculty Association's diligence in framing draft after draft and proposal after proposal on various issues, the district negotiators brought it all to a halt by announcing, without even the courtesy of a formal response in writing, that the district would not commit 1 red cent from its own coffers to a percentage increase in faculty salaries. Given 3 financial realities: first, the escalating commercial and residential real estate valuations in our service communities. Second, continual reports from the Assembly Budget Office anticipating multi-billion-dollar windfalls above projected tax revenues. And third, our first in the state financial resources ranking. Given these circumstances, the response to date by the district is completely untenable. It simply cannot stand the test of what is affordable, what is fair, and what is equitable. I ask that the trustees direct their negotiators back to the table with reasonable proposals that can serve as a foundation upon which to resume fruitful negotiations. Since taking office, Chancellor Portner has made commendable efforts to rebuild the trust and harmony between district and faculty that was increasingly absent in the previous administration. My concern is that if the present state of negotiations persists much longer, Chancellor Portner's good work will be squandered as negotiations are replaced by public, messy, and possibly acrimonious dispute. Finally, allow me to remind everyone here of our organic relationship. The trustees have their responsibilities, as do the faculty. But at the end of the day, we recognize a shared responsibility grounded in the expression of we, us, and our. I urge the trustees to assume more resolute oversight of the contract negotiations and provide a reasonable proposal that will restore good faith bargaining. Thank you.
After Ms. Wirtz, we have Margot Lovett.
My name is Beverly Hudson-Wirtz, and for the last 25 years, I've been a part-time faculty member in Virginia, California, and Oregon. I am currently in my 4th year teaching history at Saddleback College. At a previous board meeting, I shared with you my belief that a huge component of student success is access to faculty, and that student success should not hinge on the employment status of her professor. My experiences teaching in Virginia and Oregon accustomed me to holding office hours, for which I was paid and given space. So it was an adjustment for me to realize that my students here would have no access to me outside of the classroom. I'll be honest with you, I never adjusted to it, and I hold office hours as best I can under the circumstances presented here at Saddleback. I know I'm doing it gratis, but turning a student away is not something I'm comfortable to do. I challenge my students with assignments that require creativity and critical thinking. I teach 3 classes with a combined total of 92 students. On a good day, I can grade an individual quiz in about 10 minutes, 15 hours for which I am not paid. Grading 92 multiple choice examinations requires approximately 5 minutes to run through a machine reader. But I don't use this method because my students benefit and learn from assignments that challenge them to think critically rather than simply memorizing terms that can be broken down into A, B, C, or D answers. And it helps them develop skills that will aid them when they transfer to a university or enter the job market. At Saddleback, I am supported by my department chair, my dean, and my fellow faculty members. I have the respect, and yes, I have the admiration of my students. But I need to ask myself, how much longer am I going to continue working in an environment where my personal integrity does not allow me to say to a student, I'm not paid to hold an office hour, therefore I can't see you? How much longer am I going to continue spending countless unpaid hours grading papers because my integrity as a professional educator requires me to do more than ask students to memorize dates and names and enter them on a Scantron? My answers to those questions will ultimately determine whether or not I can continue to teach in this district, as my choices are pretty slim. I can either compromise my integrity or work for free, neither of which is appealing to me. Thank you.
After Ms. Lovett, we have Brenda Plasencia Carasoza.
Good evening. My name is Margot Lovett. I teach history at Saddleback College, where I have been for the last 18 years. Tonight, I want to address the rejection by the district's negotiating team of the Faculty Association's salary proposals. I honestly cannot remember the last time I have felt so demoralized, underappreciated, and treated with such utter disdain. I love my job. I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. I did not go into education to become rich, but I do expect to be paid fairly for the work I do. Like most of my colleagues, my work extends far beyond the classroom, library, or counseling session. Many of us act as mentors, surrogate parents, and trusted advisors to our students. My students share with me the most extraordinary stories about their lives. There's the 19-year-old who is responsible for her traumatized, alcoholic Vietnam veteran father, the 21-year-old who has been on her own since she was 17 and left home to escape an abusive stepfather, and the 22-year-old who's having problems keeping up with his assignments because his family has been homeless for the last month. My students share these stories with me because they know that I care far more than about their grade on a paper or an exam. I care about them as people. The reality is that you can have a completely staffed administration and classes full of students, but without the faculty to teach those students, all of that is meaningless. There's been a lot of lip service paid to our dedicated and excellent faculty. And those are nice words, and it is gratifying to hear them. But without action to back them up, they are hollow. If we as a district are truly committed to student success, then it is imperative that we pay our faculty who work directly with those students a fair wage. Thank you.
After Brenda, there is Robert Farnsworth.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Plasencia Carasoza. Thank you for getting it right. And I'm a new faculty member here at Saddleback, so some of my colleagues would think I'm crazy to want to even speak up and say anything at all as someone who's newly hired. But I do want to speak on 2 points today. The first one being that there are challenges with being a new hire that I didn't realize when I got hired. Being able to say I'm part of Saddleback has been absolutely a joy. I feel proud to be a part of this campus. And until after I was hired, didn't realize that I wouldn't be able to afford to live in not even South Orange County, but not even be able to afford to live in Orange County, period, at all. So I'm currently commuting up to 2 hours a day to get to Saddleback College from LA County, which I am happy to do and proud to do because I see good work being done here. I see a campus that absolutely cares, and I see a growing Latino community, which I absolutely want to support. So I'm happy to do the work, but would like to be able to live in the community that I serve. The second point that I would like to speak to is for the last 8 years before coming here, I worked as a part-timer in a district that didn't care a whole lot about us. And I come here and I see a faculty union who is absolutely supportive of part-timers, and I think it's amazing. And I, as a part-timer, having earned 40% of what full-timers make, having had to hold office hours in a hallway without having an office, having had those struggles of doing the same job and the same workload without the same pay, I often felt like the dirt on the bottom of a shoe. And I refuse to be a full-timer now who accepts that and who is okay with treating my colleagues and my peers, who I know work equally as I do, and having them earn less and not be compensated for the work that they do. Thank you.
After Mr. Farnsworth, we have Kathy Schmeidler.
Thank you. My name is Robert Farnsworth. I teach horticulture and landscape design. I am a dedicated employee, teacher. I came in 3 times over spring break to water student plots. There's been some talk about how much money we have and how much money we deserve, and that I won't repeat that. But I tell you, some of my dreams are distant at best. Saving money to buy a home here, probably not going to happen. Travel, that's out. But what I really want to address is groceries, please. It is obscene to think that we can't get by. I'd like you to consider that and send your people back to the bargaining table, please. Thank you.
After Ms. Schmeidler, we have Jeannie Agassi.
Good evening, all. I'm Kathy Schmeidler. I teach biology at IVC and do a host of other jobs, as do most of my colleagues. Different other jobs for each of us, but many other jobs. And I'm here as a taxpayer, although not here in South County, and a consumer, because as a taxpayer, I pay money into a fund that's supposed to give me product, services, something back. When I pay taxes to the state, I expect the state to give me things, or give everybody things, not me in particular, but everybody, roads, buildings, safety, police, fire. I expect those things for my money. I expect that the people in South County expect things for their money as well, and I know that the board prides itself on its fiduciary responsibility. So I wonder about how the money is being spent. If I need an electrician for my home, I don't go to the cheapest electrician. I had a contractor who did that. The electrician left a wire hanging in the wall because he didn't know what it was for. Luckily, another electrician several years later found it and said that he was astonished that our house was not burned down during the interval, but he could figure out what that wire was for, and he attached it where it was supposed to go. I had the same contractor, hired the cheapest plumber. This is the problem with contractors. And we discovered that we were filling our new swimming pool with hot water because he had reversed the hot and cold water pipes. Cheapest is not the least expensive. I want cheapest when I get a Happy Meal. I want the toy to be destroyed as soon as possible. Otherwise, my home would be awash in Happy Meal toys. When I hire other things, I don't want the cheapest. I want the best.
After Ms. Agassi, we have Gila Jones.
Good evening, President Pendergast, members of the board, Chancellor Portner. I'm Gina Goss. I have been here for 35 years teaching Spanish, and I have 2 points to make. I'm here first and foremost to support salary parity for adjunct faculty.
I help to supervise about 7 adjunct faculty, and when those people are underpaid, we're doing both a disservice to their preparation and their dedication to their profession and a disservice to the students they serve. I also wanted to remind you that in the 35 years I have been here, the workload that I have has exponentially increased. When I started, my job was to teach class, hold office hours, and serve a committee or 2 hours a week. As most of you here know, our job now includes writing the curriculum, rewriting it numerous times. Why it has to be written over and over again, I won't understand, but I comply. Participating in SLOs, participating in program review, writing AATs, writing numerous, amazing amounts of letters of recommendation, and I probably answer between 40, maybe more than 40 emails a day, not just from my students, but from members of the community who have questions. And we keep a current website. So all of this is in addition to what I consider my real job, which is teaching students. And that, by the way, is the job that I love. I do not love writing curriculum. I do not love SLOs. I do not love program review. In fact, I can say I really find all of those very distasteful, but I adore my students. So I want to be paid for the work, and faculty deserve a raise for all the work that we do. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gila Jones. I am not on the faculty or speaking for them. I'm a board member on the Capistrano Unified School Board. I, however, am not authorized to be speaking for them. I'm speaking only for myself tonight. 2 things. At our last board meeting last week, for a complicated reason, we had a whole raft of adult ed students and faculty come in and speak to us. They thought their program was being completely eliminated. This has to do with AB 86, which is in part shifting adult ed to the community colleges. The law, it's a new bill. It'll create a consortium that'll better serve adult learners. The purpose is to do GED prep, ESL, citizenship, education programs for adults with disabilities, short-term career tech ed, programs with high employment potential, and programs for apprentices. A lot of this is coming to the community colleges. Not all of it, but a lot of it is. Our staff is working on it with your staff, but this is really important. And I'm just here, board member to board member, to make sure it's on your radar. It's on our radar. Again, it's really important. I hope that your staff really is working on it and you're aware of it and you're keeping track of it, because you don't want all those people coming to your board meetings like they came to ours, because we had way more than you had in faculty. So the other issue is this. We have a new superintendent in CUSD. She is a change agent. She doesn't know the word can't. One of the things she's trying to do is expand ROP and CTE offerings for CUSD students. She expects to increase the amount of articulation between our CTE classes and Saddleback classes. Again, the staffs are working on it. Again, it's important. Again, the CUSD board thinks that the South Orange County Community College Board ought to know about it. And I hope you are moving forward with it and you're aware of what your staff is doing. Again, board member to board member, I hope it's on your radar. Thank you.
Thank you. So sorry that you got thrown into the mix of that pile. I didn't realize that. But that concludes our public comments. Staff will get back to those that require response. And we'll move on now to reports. Starting with board reports, we have, we'll start off with Trustee Milchker. We, again, remind that we try and hold to the 2 minutes for us as well.
Okay. First, I want to make a few comments about Trustee Bill Jay, who passed away earlier this year. He served our community college district and our college, Saddleback College, for over 40 years. I don't have to read the list of roles he's had, but he's had almost every single role in the district, from faculty member to administrator to board member. And there's said that if an old person passes away, it's like a library burning down. And in a way, I feel that way about Bill Jay. He was such an incredible wealth of information about the colleges and the districts. And so that's the way it feels to me. So I'll miss you, Bill, and all of the rest of us will miss you. And we wish Bobby and her family Godspeed. And
our thoughts and prayers are with you. Then I want to congratulate the Saddleback College Gaucho team and their head coach, Andy Ground, for winning the Gaucho basketball team, for winning their third state championship ever. It's incredible to win one state championship, but to win 3 state championships is really something. And hopefully they can come to the next board meeting and we can thank them in person. I'm also proud of the IVC Lasers tennis team for being number 1 in Southern California. They have a 10-0 record so far. I attended the Orange County Legislative Task Force meeting this year. The Coast Community College District is running it, so we went to Coast District. I want to tell you what we're doing. We discussed supporting AB 288, which is supporting concurrent enrollments between the local K-12 districts and the community college. And there's an item on our agenda with the resolution supporting this. And we know how it works because at Beckman High School at IVC, we have a wonderful dual enrollment program where the students graduate from IVC at the same time they graduate from Beckman High School. Okay, thank you.
Next we have Trustee Wright.
Thank you, President. I wanted to begin by saying that I attended one of the drop-in open labs on Workday training. In fact, I got trained a little bit on how to use Workday. It's very interesting, and I enjoyed it. I learned how to modify my personal information, how to identify my place in the organization, and then how to make payroll changes if I need to. So I did learn something. In fact, I like Workday, so it seems to be working. The second thing is I wanted to make a comment about the Saddleback College basketball team. I did attend 3 of the games, all the regional games that were held here. Saddleback won 3 regional games, and they went to the state tournament. And it was an exciting state tournament. At the first game, Saddleback was behind most of the game, right down until right at the end. And a student by the name of Dusty Baker, with only, I think, a second on the clock, shot a 3-pointer and made the basket. It was tied. Then in overtime, Saddleback won. Then they won the next game in the state championship. So they need to be applauded for that. I'd like to also indicate that I attended the Saddleback College's 15th annual Foundation Gala. Wonderful event. I also attended the memorial services for Trustee Bill Jay, and we'll all miss him. And then finally, I wanted to indicate that I attended the Classified Professional Development Day luncheon and awards presentation at the UCI Recreation Center located at UCI in Irvine, California. It was a wonderful event. I just made a couple of notes for myself. The 3 winners are to be congratulated. Mark Sierakowski from Saddleback College. He's a network specialist. I've known Mark for a long time. He was the Classified Employee of the Year for Saddleback. Corrine Raymond was the Senior Admin Assistant. She's at Irvine Valley College. She was their Outstanding Classified Employee of the Year. And then Mayra Aris, a Senior Admin Assistant here at the district. They need to be congratulated. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Jemal.
So I think everything that's been said up until this point about Trustee Jay has been well said. My first stint on the board here, I had an opportunity to sit next to Trustee Jay for about 1.5 years, and I learned a lot. I laughed a lot, and really appreciated the history he has of this. Everyone knows Bill has had a pretty good wit, and we had a wonderful time sitting next to each other. And I think that he embodied most of what we want in a trustee. I think it's unfortunate that a lot of the faculty have left because, he actually, every decision that he made that I saw in my brief tenure, he focused on the human impact. And whether it was faculty, whether it was staff, whether it was the administration, and of course the students. And, what a joy it was to serve alongside Trustee Jay. And Bobby, I'm sorry for your loss. And what a wonderful memorial held here at Saddleback College. Very touching, moving, and everything that's said should have been said. Is everything you'd want in a trustee.
I did also attend the gala, the Saddleback College, Saddleback Foundation Gala. I don't know if President Wright is still here from the foundation board. Well done to Don Rickner and his staff, and Todd and your staff. What a superb event. Over 500 registered attendees. Wow. Very, very impressive. Very impressive. And I know that IVC's gala is coming up, and I look forward to attending that as well. The last thing I think has been mentioned, and all I got to say is, state champs, well done, Saddleback College. What an impressive accomplishment. Thank you.
Well, thanks for stealing all the thunder, people. I guess I have no report. Trustee Lang.
Well, I'm going to wind up repeating a lot of what's been said as well, but I wanted to extend my condolences to Bobby as well on the loss of Bill. He will be missed around here. What a rich history that he had with Saddleback College. Tremendous loss for all of us. So we'll miss him a lot. And also just to congratulate the Saddleback basketball team on their tremendous win and state title. So thank you.
All right. Chancellor's report.
I just have a quick comment. I want to remind faculty and staff that the board's going to be having a listening session on April the 22nd. It'll be at 12:30 at Saddleback College in this room, and at 3 o'clock at IVC at the IVC Cafe. That's all.
All right. Next we have college presidents. Who would like to go first?
I was elected to go first. Thank you, Glenn.
President Burnett.
First off, a lot of you sold my thunder too, but I'm glad to hear from our trustees, and that just shows you how engaged you are and supportive. But you left out one event. Trustee Lang, in particular. On February 27th, we had our first, will now be first annual economic report luncheon with the South Orange County. I know, you're all going, we forgot to
Didn't we talk about that last meeting?
No. It was February 27th.
Okay, excellent.
Anyway, yes, can you believe it's only been a month for them? But as you know, we had over 200 people attend that inaugural event with the South Orange County Economic Coalition. We had the first South Orange County Economic Report that was produced and spearheaded by our interim dean, Tony Tang, who also you may know as well as an accounting instructor here at Saddleback, who did a fantastic job. We've had absolutely overwhelming response from the community. It even surpassed all of our expectations, and we look forward to the future years and making this important contribution to our community. Next, of course, you said about the Saddleback College Foundation. Absolutely superb. The best foundation gala ever at Saddleback. Thank you all for your support. It could not happen without you, all of our faculty, our staff, our administrators and managers, and our community, of course. Next, of course, yes, state champs, folks. I know Dr. Wright wishes he was there. He watched it, I know, on video. But, man, was that one of the most exciting two games you've ever seen, especially literally the last minute. It was 1.8 seconds, actually, when he made that shot. That put us into overtime, and then we won the overtime. But we were down the entire time as much as 16 points, actually, and came back to win. And then, of course, the last game on Sunday was equally exciting, and we were down most of that game, too, but came back and won. I kind of call us the Kentucky of this season. Is Saddleback. We ended up with a 33-2 record. At next board meeting, we will be bringing the team back for you to be able to recognize and give a resolution at that board meeting. Also, at the next board meeting, we will be at 4 o'clock. You're invited to come to a reception for our full-time tenured track faculty, like we've done the last couple of years. It'll be in the Fine Arts Building, and it will be at 4 o'clock p.m. Finally, congratulations, Mark Sierakowski, Student Success Summit on April 17th. And real quick, Bobby Jay, again, our sincere condolences. And as I said in my message out, and we've all said, to say that he will be missed will be an understatement. Thank you.
All right. President Rockmore.
Thank you very much. First off, IVC held its first preview day. It used to be senior day. And there's been, this is for seniors to come on campus and learn about community colleges and specifically Irvine Valley College. We had about 2,000 high school seniors on campus that day, and they had the opportunity to learn about priority registration, which, of course, piqued their interest, our honors program, guidance and counseling, scholarships, financial aid, basically everything they needed to know to get into a community college of their choice.
Also very exciting, I'd like to congratulate Matt Tressler, Professor Tressler. I think many of you may have heard already that he received a Grammy Award at the 2015 Grammy Award program for Best Choral Performance, which of course he was a component of, and the piece was The Sacred Spirit of Russia. So we congratulate him for that. Also, our IVC debate team took a triple gold at one of the league championships, which there are many different championships, but they brought in 3 golds to that, so congratulations to them. Our Foundation Awards dinner is going to be April 11th at the Lion Air Museum, and we are sold out for the primary reason that to make it grow, we'd have to pull another airplane out, which is actually expensive, believe it or not. And so we didn't want to do that, so we're going to cap it. So I hope to see you all there, and congratulations to Saddleback for their success. And also congratulations to Saddleback for your state championship. That's absolutely wonderful. And finally, I'd like to join in the condolences to Bobby. Bill will be greatly missed.
Okay. Seeing no one from Associated Student Governments, we'll go on. There are no board requests for reports that I see, which brings us to item 4.0, discussion items. 4.1, we have Saddleback College and IVC Career Technical Education Certificate Program. It's a request of Trustee Jemal. We have representatives from Saddleback and Irvine Valley will share information. That's right.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you. Okay, well, good evening, trustees and Chancellor Portner. My name is Corrine Dowdy, and I'm here along with my colleague, Dr. Don Boucher, to provide you with some information about career technical education in support of the questions that Trustee Jemal asked earlier in the year. So just to refresh everybody's memory, we're going to report on the number of students enrolled in CTE classes, the number of FTE equivalent students generated, the CTE FTS generated by college compared to other colleges throughout the state. Thanks. The process used to identify the Doing What Matters framework to supply in-demand skills that align with local employer needs, as well as what processes are used to evaluate the ongoing need for current CTE programs. So, career technical education, an outreach plan for developing partnerships at ATEP. So, career technical education is all about preparing individuals for high wage, high skill, high demand programs in new and emerging occupation. It also supports those individuals who are coming back and what we call skill builders to retrain, to maybe get a bump up in their wage, and they may not be a completer. And as you can see from the slide, 65% of today's jobs require post-secondary education. So there's a real emphasis on community colleges and the value to today's workers. The State Chancellor's Office and MIS uses what we call top codes or taxonomy of programs to code and to classify our career technical education programs. And we've listed for you here kind of all of the top code areas. And within those top code areas, there are very broad CTE programs, and they whittle down into more specific CTE programs. And this helps us as we're working with our faculty to develop new programs and to even clean up some of our existing programs. Typically, the top codes are listed in 2, 4, or 6-digit top codes. Top codes are identified by both non-CTE and CTE, and if it has an asterisk listed next to it, that means that it is a CTE top code, and it's eligible for Perkins funding and other kinds of funding that are very specific to career technical education.
Another method for coding our programs and courses is what we call SAM codes, or the Student Accountability Model. There are 5 areas. So if I have an apprenticeship program, I'm going to use a SAM code A, which is then reported in MIS on something called a 321 report, whereas everything else is reported on a 320 report. So all of my programs and my courses are very specific to SAM code A. For most of us, we're using either SAM code B, C, or D. We're not all that interested in SAM code E because that's non-CTE and doesn't apply to us. So B is really more for those individuals who are further along in their career technical education program, and it may even be a capstone program. C is very clearly occupational. They're in a CTE cohort, or what we would call a cohort, and have taken a series of courses in a program that would identify them in a cohort that's clearly occupational. And D is just for those students who may be what we call a participant, who are taking maybe their first course and aren't really sure whether they're going to pursue a career technical education pathway. All right. So the CTE enrollments, and you can see here that they're listed by college over a 3-year period. So we have it listed by student headcount for both non-CTE and CTE. You can see Irvine Valley College has had a increase in their headcount for CTE, which means that we've been offering more sections, fortunately. And we've reduced our number of sections in non-CTE. Saddleback is remaining rather consistent in their non-CTE and has had a slight reduction in their CTE programs. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Dawn.
Thank you. What we wanted to project in this slide here is to indicate how the CTE enrollments are dispersed throughout the curriculum. And as you look at the Irvine Valley chart here, you'll see that the majority, or 50% of the CTE enrollments, are in the clearly CTE, which means the students have gone through introductory courses, and the majority of them are now in courses that are preparing them for employment in a field. The reason that we have such small numbers, both at Saddleback and Irvine Valley, in the Code B, or the advanced area, is because we are limited to only 2 courses per program in that area. So we'll always have smaller numbers there, and whenever you see enrollments there, for example, at Irvine Valley this last year, they're hitting around 500 students. Those are clearly people that are going to complete the program. Saddleback College, if you look at the enrollments there, 50% of our enrollments at Saddleback are in the possibly area. So we have students who are just beginning the programs in greater numbers and moving through the program area. If you look at the full-time equivalent students, or the FTES, this is what the income is generated from. You'll see that Irvine Valley College has been increasing steadily year after year, the 3-year period, and Saddleback College is remaining, it's decreased a little, but it remains pretty steady. And if you then break out the FTEF generation, or FTS generation, you will see that more students, the greater number of students at Irvine Valley, again, are in the Code C, or the clearly CTE area. Whereas with Saddleback, we have an equal distribution of our FTES between the possibly and the clearly. And you may ask, well, on the last slide you said that the enrollments were greater in the possibly. The reason is that students take fewer classes in CTE than they do in other classes, so they generate the FTS a little differently. If we look at the FTES generation of our colleges on the state, if I were to put the entire state slide here, there are 117 colleges and centers, I would have to say it's this, but you can't see it. So what I did was we've given you the data in the handouts we've given you, but we've taken the 10 Orange County colleges and centers and shown you their ranking statewide based upon that first column, the statewide ranking in 2011. At that time, Saddleback College was 4th in the county and 18th in the state with the FTES generation for CTE. Irvine Valley was 84th, and if you go across, you'll see that Saddleback is now 20th, or in 2013 was 20th in the state, and Irvine Valley has made a tremendous gain to 76. So I think you can go back and look and see that their enrollments have been increasing in CTE, and their FTS generation has increased, and that's reflected here as well. If you look at our scorecard, and each year the scorecard information, or each time scorecard information is presented to us, we must present it to the board, and we do it each year. What this is showing you is that in a cohort of students who have 18 CTE units, and they're in a single discipline within a 3-year period, and this shows the completion rates. So you'll see that Saddleback College has gone up to a high of 58%, whereas the state was 55 in the lower 50s, and Irvine Valley was in the 40s, the high 40s. You'll see that we've now, in the 2007, 2008, have all combined. We're right, both colleges are at the state completion rate. And then finally, we were asked to give the number of awards by program. And again, the list would be too long to present on a PowerPoint slide. That information, again, is presented to the board members in your packet. But what we did do here is show you the 10 top program areas for each of the colleges. And I'd like to point out to you the Saddleback information. The top 3 at Saddleback are all programs in which a licensure is required. So you tend to have greater numbers of completers, and also every one of those has a cohort of students. And so we're looking at the goodness and the success rates of students in cohorts. So possibly that's one thing we want to look at.
Okay, so this is the fun stuff. So about 3.5 years ago, Von Tonquin-Levon was appointed to be the Vice Chancellor for Economic and Workforce Development through the state of California. And she created this Doing What Matters for Jobs in the Economy framework and came up with 4 quadrants that she has pushed out, and has been a campaign for all of us to begin to restructure our programs. The first one is to give priority. So the whole idea is to start to work together rather than in silos, and to start using data to make informed decisions, to work together to align our curriculum and to offer programs that really do meet the needs of our local and regional employer base. The next is make room. So we want to be able to take a look at some of those programs that may be sitting on the books or have not been moving, and find out what we can do, or look at other colleges that we could partner with in order to create some synergies and opportunities for students to be portable and to move through this kind of continuous cycle of learning depending on where they're at in their career. The third quadrant is student success. So the whole idea was that we would begin to leverage, or what she's calling braid, our funding, so that there was less duplication and we would have a wider reach and more bandwidth. It also has allowed us to reach out to our high school partners in career technical education as well, to create this kind of smooth transition from school to school and eventually work.
The fourth is to innovate. And so we want to be able to be responsive to both our regional, local, and even our global economy. So we want to come up with ways that we can accelerate our programs, that we could ramp up and offer our courses quickly, so that we're providing a very well-skilled, well-trained pipeline of workers. In terms of what Irvine Valley College is doing to support the Doing What Matters framework is we are currently the lead grant administrator for the Orange County Deputy Sector Navigator for Energy Utilities. We are the lead for what we call the Technical Assistance Provider, which is the California Career Cafe, which if you're not familiar with it, I would encourage you to check that out because it's a really good piece of work. AB 86, which is a consortium and a collaborative, as well as SB 1070 in energy and utilities. And all of these grants have either a regional or a statewide reach. So part of the Vice Chancellor in Sacramento's initiative is that we have program alignment, that we start working with other colleges, not just in Orange County, but Southern California or even throughout the state. So there have been an insurgence of one-time funding recently. I'm sure you've heard of it. And in our efforts to align, we have participated in the Biotech Alignment Project in Orange County, Information Communication Technology, which was part of our CTE enhancement, both our 60% and our 40%. We are partnering with Cal CTP, and it's the Lighting Control Consortium, the State of California Sector Navigator, as well as Deputy Sector Navigator to develop curriculum in building operations, as well as heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration. So we currently have projects in the pipeline to align our programs with, again, colleges in LA, Riverside, Orange County, and statewide. And our partnerships include our sister college, who has done a fabulous job at facilitating and leading the Orange County Career Pathways Trust. And some of what I was talking about in terms of the alignment project happened through the CTE enhancement, the 40%, which was all about this alignment project. And I think also this year we have a very unique opportunity to support not only Doing What Matters, but the Board of Governors initiative on creating a strong economy and jobs. We have Dr. Craig Justice, who is sitting on the task force for the state and doing a remarkable job. He is also the president for the California Chief Instruction Officers and also is a liaison sitting on the California Community College Association for Occupational Education Board, for which I happen to be the president this year. So we are actively engaged in the happenings statewide with not only Doing What Matters, but the Board of Governors as well. Oops.
And Saddleback College, Doing What Matters, we have workforce and economic development goals both in our district strategic plan and in the college strategic plan. Also, you have a copy of the Saddleback College Workforce and Economic Development Plan. If I can just show them this, sorry. So you have this. You also have a similar document for Irvine Valley College's plan. And we have the South Orange County Economic Forecast Report that President Burnett mentioned earlier. You have a copy of that in the handouts that we've given you this evening. The Orange County Career Pathways Project, you just heard that Saddleback College is the lead college for all the California community colleges in Orange County. Course articulation, you heard from the trustee from the Capistrano Unified School District that course articulation between the high schools, ROPs, and the colleges are very important. Saddleback College is very proud that we have over 125 course-to-course articulations throughout our area of service to our high schools, and that is the largest number of any community college in Orange County. So we're pleased, and we will continue to grow those articulations. You heard a little bit about AB 1070. 1070 is attended, the meetings are attended by a number of Saddleback College faculty and staff and administrators.
The AB 86 projects, we're working very closely with our partner secondary schools. We are looking at developing programs that you heard a request that we do. We are very involved, and you'll hear much more about that in the very near future. And then, of course, the state CTE enhancement funds that you've heard about also previously. We're involved in that and putting our funding. There's 60% of the money that was dedicated to the county. 60% of it went directly to the colleges based upon enrollments. We were able to use that money for the programs that we identified. 40% of the money must be used in a regional or a collaborative way. And Corinne mentioned how IVC is working on various projects as we are. And you'll hear more about those as they become funded and approved. And then, of course, the state and federal economic workforce development projects. I'm certain that you've heard about our TAC grant and what we're doing in the health sciences area, as well as our B2E Bridge to Engineering that we are working with. And it's a great program that many of our students are able to get a jump start on their career in engineering.
Great. So in terms of processes to identify CTE programs, I thought what I would do is create a context, because both what IVC and Saddleback have some similar processes, including program vitality or discontinuance. So I'm going to establish a framework, and Dawn's going to kind of go through some of those elements step by step. So in terms of our process, the California Ed Code states that the governing board of each school district participating in a career tech ed program will appoint a career tech education advisory to develop recommendations on the program and to provide a liaison between the district and potential employers. So I provided a hot link for you, but it's also in the handouts that were provided for you, which is an advisory handbook for faculty on the processes for establishing advisory committees. In the state of California, we have a process for developing new programs, and it's all about substantiating employer need, identifying gaps, and getting the endorsement of the Los Angeles Orange County regional consortia. And so the state considers two elements when they are looking at programs and when we're asking for endorsement. We want the support of our colleges in our region, but the state looks at two areas. They look at unnecessary duplication, and they look at labor market demand. And so many of our programs, such as photography or even digital media, the labor market information doesn't really substantiate growth. However, those programs are very important, and most of those individuals are independent contractors, so they don't show up in the UA wage census data. And so it's our job as administrators to help to gather and to collect that information, survey that information, because those are viable programs that lead to all kinds of opportunities. And so those are some of the things that we are required to include in our program approval piece. So whether we have a new program or we have a substantial change to an existing program, we have to show that there's not unnecessary duplication and that our sister colleges throughout the county are supportive of what we're doing. And we must have an endorsement by the Los Angeles Orange County Regional Consortia.
So if we look at what the colleges are doing to fulfill those requirements, one, as was mentioned, the program advisory committees. Every single CTE program has an advisory committee, and they must have industry partners, and they must be active. We also have meetings at least once a year. I have in the Advanced Technology Applied Science Division one program advisory committee that meets monthly. So it depends on what is happening and how interested and how dynamic the program is and is expanding.
The duties vary among the program needs. For example, we have some of the program advisory committees will review programs, they'll review some of the courses, they'll look at some of the industry standards so to make sure that our standards are appropriate. The equipment that we're using is state-of-the-art equipment. And whenever we have a need for information to develop a new program or to look at existing programs, we always go first to advisory committees for that reason. We also have program review. We must, by law, review every CTE program each 2 years. And those programs are reviewed. You had a speaker earlier talking about, I'm not sure why I have to do all this curriculum work. Well, that's why, because we want to be certain in the CTE area that our curriculum and our programs are appropriate and are fulfilling the need for the jobs that are within our industry. And then as you see here, the curriculum review, it's mandated, and we certainly want to make certain that we follow the mandate.
So the process to assess CTE program vitality. The statewide academic senate made a recommendation that all colleges will come up with or develop a process for what they call program discontinuation, others call it program vitality. Both colleges have developed a process for which they look at programs, and if they need a little extra help, we'll take steps to help them. And you can see that in order to comply with the ACJC standards, Standard 2A, 2E, an institution must conduct ongoing systematic review of all courses and programs, which entails a review of the relevance, appropriateness, achievement of learning outcomes, currency, and future needs and programs. So as Don was mentioning with program review, there's also biennial review, as well as the curriculum review process. So in career technical education, there is a constant rigor required for these programs to be viable. The program discontinuance reflects at IVC the college mission, the educational master plan, and the department's goals and objectives. And you can see here that there are qualitative and quantitative indicators. There's committee review and discussion with the academic senate, as well as those recommendations. Some of the questions you might ask is there an emerging or continuing need for such a program? Does the program serve a purpose within the college's overall curriculum and mission? Are there sufficient numbers of students interested in enrolling on the program on an ongoing basis? And is there an industry need demonstrated by demand and marketability? So those might be some of the questions that might be asked by the committee.
And as Corinne said, we each have our process. The Saddleback College Academic Senate has developed a program viability inquiry system. You have it listed here. I won't go over all of the elements here, but basically what we're talking about are all of those elements that Corinne has already talked about. However, the one important thing here is that there is a written report. The meetings are open to any party who may have a part in this or an interest in the program. And then finally, there are 3 possible recommendations. 1 would be to continue the program. 2 would be to discontinue with or continue with qualifications and or recommendations to revitalize it. And then, of course, the last would be to discontinue the program.
Okay, and in terms of outreach efforts at ATAP, ATAP will continue to showcase a Think Globally, Act Locally regional center for global innovation that's nimble, flexible, and fully integrated and designed to meet the next generation of innovators and students. IVC's Learn and Earn concept provides sustainable programs and partners through emerging technologies. And I've listed for you some prospective partners that we think would create that kind of synergistic community that is both learn and earn. So we've got the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Siemens, FANUC, University of California, Irvine, and Microvention.
The outreach at ATEP for Saddleback College is, as you may recall,
The concept is a Center for Innovation in Healthcare Education. And we're talking about a regional simulated healthcare center that's going to provide an innovative, risk-free environment to address multiple safety, training, and skill maintenance needs of healthcare workers. It is not moving a program from Saddleback to Irvine Valley. This would be a complete center that is simulated so that those working within the patient care units, emergency services, clinical services, assessment and training, patient services, records, all of this would be in a facility that would simulate the real-world experience that individuals would have. Now, what we've done so far is a study that we've completed that talks about the program opportunities. We see and have found a need for contract and community education in such a center. We look at credit-based courses with other community colleges and universities. We look at professional development, some of the CEs, continuing education credits. Potential partners, we don't have a list of names of partners. You'll see in a second we're talking about what we need to do next. But we're looking at partners like hospitals and clinics, professional organizations, government agencies, community organizations, colleges and universities. And in addition to this regional simulation healthcare center, we're looking at an area in which we could have demonstration center where manufacturers and vendors could have their latest equipment in which they could invite clients to come in and see how it's used, as well as allow the college and the programs that are there to use it. It would be a training center, a conference center. We do not have a adequate space on campus for a conference center and also a testing center. So finally, what we're looking at doing is working on the feasibility study. We need to do the market study. We need to project the economics, the cost versus the income potential, because we're looking at a way of self-funding and continuing the programs that we're working with there. The design requirements, we have looked at what the design requirements are, but we need to now really look more specifically for each of the areas. We know the space that is necessary as well as what we want to do within the space. And then the partnership recruitment. And in order to do all of this, we see the need for a consultant to oversee what we want to do there. So this is Saddleback's plan for ATEP and how we are approaching it. And we want to know if you have any questions.
First request to speak, Trustee Jemal.
Thank you, Deans. A very comprehensive report. I know a lot of work went into this, and I appreciate it very much since I was the one who requested it back, I think, in July of 2014. So let me ask, I have a couple questions now, and then I'll follow up later with additional ones in the interest of time. But I'm wondering, is the process at Saddleback and IVC to identify new and assess current programs, to identify new and assess current programs, is it working?
I'll answer for Saddleback College. To assess the current programs, we do have program reviews in which we go and follow a process. The process of revitalization or the vitality, that is new. It was recently established and approved through the governance process by the Academic Senate. We are looking to implement that in the very near future. And
Corinne?
Well, it's an interesting question because curriculum is the purview of faculty. And as a dean, there's nothing that I love more than working with faculty who want to continue to revise their existing programs or expand and develop new programs. But there's value in a lot of the programs that maybe have not been revised for some time, but there's also equally value in considerations for bringing industry in to have those conversations. And what I always like to ask is, an industry member is, if one of your prospective hires came to you with this certificate,
would you hire them, and if so, for what, and how much you're going to pay. So those are the things that really help us to validate and to substantiate. But that takes time. It's part of a process and a culture that doesn't happen overnight.
So looking into your crystal balls, both of you, when you look at CTE and CTE programs at the two colleges here in ATEP, do you see it more as a process we're going to bolster existing programs, or perhaps discontinue some programs and then look at establishing new programs? And you mentioned, I know, Dean Boucher, that the higher numbers in terms of students getting certificates are in the area where there's state licensures involved. So I'm wondering, where do you see this going? Is it bolstering existing, establishing new, and then my last question, and then where does ATEP fit into that?
If I'll speak to it first, if I may. I see a combination of bolstering the current programs that we have, and then also new programs. We're always on the lookout for new programs. We want to be certain that students who come to Saddleback College, and I'm certain it's true of Irvine Valley as well, that when students come and earn a certificate, or even if they don't earn a certificate, the coursework that they have taken and have completed is of value to them, and they can use that within the job market that exists within our county and elsewhere, if that's where they care to go. So in answer to your question, it's going to be both. And Saddleback has discontinued programs in the past. When I came here, we had an air flight attendant program, which we no longer have. I was teaching students how to use a 10-key adding machine, which we don't do anymore. I taught shorthand, which they don't teach anymore. So we do phase programs out. We revitalize programs, and we bring in new programs.
So ATEP, is not going to be simply shifting programs from Saddleback, for example, to ATEP. We're not talking about doing that.
The plan that I showed you tonight is not a plan to move anything from Saddleback College. We want a regional center. I think that word is really important, because we want to have people come to the center from other community colleges, hospitals, clinics, whatever area we can serve, and be able to serve them well in a simulated environment. We do have simulation here, but that's for our existing credit programs. We may use it ourselves. Irvine Valley has programs in which they could use this simulated center, or the conference center, or the other aspects that we would like to add to that environment there.
I do echo Don's sentiments, but I do see that there is some possibility to integrate some of the existing programs at both colleges at ATEP. Particularly, and again, I'm new and I don't have a lot of history that a lot of others do, so I'm looking at this from a fresh set of eyes. So the first building that's going in has programs like design, model, production, energy, utilities, engineering, and at some point we hope biotech, electronics, electrical, and all of those have sustainable elements. Saddleback is offering some of those similar kinds of programs that I really believe we could work together to align our programs and create opportunities for students that make this a kind of themed park and create these kinds of a sustainable learn and earn community where you want to bring your kids, your grandkids, and people want to just show up because it looks cool and we're doing innovative kinds of things. And we're doing things that not only support what's happening in our service area, but the state, the county, and even globally. We have to be mindful of that. Even though our street cred comes from providing opportunities and programs for our local and regional economies, the reality of it is we're providing opportunities for our students to be portable in the same way that we want to leverage those kinds of programs between Saddleback and IVC, so that we're providing a continuous pipeline of students depending on where they're at in their career trajectory. So that's what I see.
Trustee Lang.
Oh,
Yes, very good presentation. Appreciate all that information. One of the things I think that was said a little bit earlier on in the presentation, I think it was said by Ms. Dowdy, had to do with the fact that there were very few advanced CTE programs. And so I wanted to just focus on that for a minute. Is that because of state mandates?
Thank you for mentioning that. The reference was not to the number of programs, it's the advanced courses. Okay. So we have many advanced programs, but each program has a classification of courses from introductory to clearly occupational to advanced occupational, or what we call CTE. So we're only allowed 2 courses in each program in the advanced area. Now, if you ask me, we look at the program, many of our courses are advanced level courses, but we can't code them that way.
I see. And who mandates that? Is that the state?
The state has mandated when we submit a curriculum, a program curriculum, that we should limit to 2 courses at the advanced level.
And is part of that driven by, I guess, for lack of a better term, turf wars, where we're competing against the state colleges, the universities?
No, I don't believe so. But what's interesting is we can offer the course. We just can't call it advanced level. No one sees the SAM code. We showed you tonight because when we look at where our enrollments are, that's important to us internally. It's not external. Mm-hmm. Students do not know whether they're in an A course, a B course, C course, D course. They don't know.
Right. And it's somewhat, wouldn't you say it's somewhat subjective? Because
yes,
it depends on, as an administrator, if I'm reviewing those SAM codes, I may make some suggestions because I am good at top codes and SAM codes. But I have to say, I don't think that that's something that most individuals spend a lot of time going, oh, yeah, I think this is advanced or this is clearly, they don't spend that kind of time. So it's rather subjective. So like Don said, I think many of our courses probably are advanced level, but when you, when you look at C and it says clearly occupational, I think a lot of people think, well, that is the advanced level because it's clearly occupational and it's in that cohort, when in fact it's B.
Yeah, okay. And you don't see that loosening up going forward? It seems like some of the edges are sort of getting blurred.
I don't think it really matters. As I said, it's transparent to people. They don't know what that means. Where we run into some problems is we cannot offer courses that are baccalaureate degree courses. I think that's probably what you may have thought I said.
That's kind of where I was going with it a little bit.
Yeah, but these are not baccalaureate. That's not impacting them.
All right, thank you.
Trustee Milchker.
Okay, thank you. And I want to thank Trustee Jemal for asking for this report because I just found it fascinating. And I've been interested in this area for a long time. I actually worked as a research biologist a number of years ago in orthopedic surgery research, and we worked with many biomechanical engineers and biomedical engineers, and it was just really fascinating. And and I've always said that there's a need for these people that don't necessarily have college degrees but could get a career at our colleges. So I feel the same way. I feel that when we give our college, we kind of, when our students graduate and they want to transfer, we kind of promise them that they could transfer into another post-secondary education institution, like a 4-year institution. So when our students go into one of these CTE courses, it's really good that we continually study them to make sure that there's jobs in the community so they can actually get jobs in the community. I know a number of our programs that have gone. I think we had a travel agent program that's gone because of the web. I like the way Professor Doherty.
Dean Dowdy, you can just call me Corrine.
Okay, I'll call you Corrine. I like the way Corrine said street cred. I thought that was very cool. I feel like I'm in a cool location when you talk like that. So
I think that, one of the things we're discussing at the Orange County Community College Legislative Task Force is our colleges get the same funding, whether they're humanities students or they're some of these CTE courses where, like nursing, where they're paramedics, so many auto mechanics, so many of these other programs, which we really have to have a very high ratio of teachers to students, and it would be good to have our colleges get reimbursed for these students because these are jobs that are needed in the community today. They're vital. So that's very good. And I've attended a few of the what?
Town hall meetings?
The town hall meetings, many of the things, and some of the meetings where you have your advisory committee meetings, and those are just fascinating. And as there's a lot of good reading here to take some of our time, and the California Career Cafe has a website and even an app, so it's a pretty interesting area. So the thing I was going to ask you, some of the programs you didn't touch on, and I think they should be included, and are like auto mechanics, which is so important, and there's other programs that we need in our community, as someone said earlier. We need plumbers. We need electricians. Do you have this in your CTE classes? And how do you study which of these arenas, which of these disciplines there's a great need for, and our students would get a job right away?
As I mentioned, the listing of certificate and degree programs in the CTE area is very extensive. We have probably 200. At Saddleback College, so there are too many to put on a slide, but you should have in your packet a listing of all of our certificate and degree programs.
Okay, excellent. And it's really good to work with industry for mutually beneficial results, so that we could have students that will get jobs in the community, and they could actually tell us what they need. So it's a really applaud you for what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have 4.2, Saddleback and Irvine Valley College Regulations and Policy for Hiring Administrators and Managers. I believe this is one of the listening session items.
Good evening. I'm David Bouguet, your Vice Chancellor of Human Resources. I'd like to talk to you about understanding the board policy and hiring administrators and managers. The policy itself is about 11 pages long altogether, all single line, very micro detail to say the least. But that said, let me give you the highlights of it. First of all, there's actually 4 different policies that the board has on hiring. You'll see them all listed over here, from administrators and managers, which we're talking about tonight, full-time faculty hiring, which frankly we worked very hard on. And the we is the academic senate presidents, myself, and a small group of other people that are interested in that area. You'll be seeing that coming before you revise soon. Classified staff, and then even the chancellor. But that said, let's focus in on what the process is for hiring the administrators and managers. The Board of Trustees has the ultimate authority. But through Board Policy 2100, that has delegated the authority to the chancellor specifically, and then the chancellor goes through and he has the ability to hire, and then the board ratifies the hire at the board meeting. So that said, the chancellor, when it deals with hiring administrators and managers, he deals with district services administrators and managers, and also the college presidents. The policy also then gives the college presidents the ability to recommend for administrators and managers for their specific colleges. That said, on the process that we go through is we look at the job announcement, we look at the job description. If there's any changes to that, we'll create a new announcement, or maybe if there's a new position, make an announcement for that. And then we have a search committee that is at least 5 and no more than 12, and they're appointed by the respective chancellor or college president. And that'll include administrators, managers, faculty, and classified staff on each one of the committees. So there's a broad range of people that are represented on the different search committees.
Then how do we go about initiating the hiring process? There's an orientation by the HR specialist where they go through, they are given the specific duties, what their job is as committee members or the chair, and then the committee goes through and determines the relative weights of different questions that are asked, and then the committee develops the actual interview questions, which are reviewed by Human Resources to make certain they comply with appropriate equal employment opportunity standards and that they're all appropriate for asking in the legal aspect and in the sense of what they're asking. Then when the job description, we look at the different qualifications on the job description for that specifically in education and experience. The Human Resources Department reviews the applications for completeness and then making certain that each application meets the minimum qualifications for that job. And then with that, they will then have the committee come and take a look at the applications themselves. And they'll look at the materials for knowledge, education, experience. And then the scoring is completed by the committee themselves. And then from the application pools, which could range anywhere from 20 for a very highly specialized job to 70 or 80 for a general job, you'll see the applications there. The committee wants to determine which applications go forward. The chair works with HR and they draw the line, which is a term we actually now put in a policy. You'll see draw the line. It sounds really dynamic, but it's just drawing a line is determined who gets to be interviewed and so on. And by the way, when it comes to drawing the line, the chair is the one that makes the decision to draw, but the rest of the committee can participate if they choose to do so. That's very open. All the candidates for these jobs in administration and management of the district, they have to complete some type of writing sample. Either they can do it before they arrive and then submit it to the committee, or sometimes it's done right there on the spot to make certain that they're very nervous when they write. We make certain that all the candidates are asked the same questions, so there's a uniformity in the process. Members of the committee could ask up follow questions that relate to the answer, but we try to keep the questions at a first level very uniform. On every committee, we have an equal employment opportunity representative, and frankly, we've had a lot of people in the district, administrators and managers, volunteer and assist in that process. And they actually work for me because I'm the district's equal employment opportunity officer, but they act as my representative to make certain that we're asking uniform questions. And if there's any concerns that come up in the area of equal employment, that they can actually stop the process if necessary or sit there and provide some adjustment on the site. But frankly, we've had a lot of people involved in that, and that's helped a lot in the process of hiring. They monitor and make certain that all discussions are on the job or for job relatedness. The scores are tabulated. The committee sees the final average scores, and usually the top three candidates are forwarded for a second interview with the college president or the chancellor. And that usually applies the presidents. They need to have an opportunity to take a look at who's coming forward and have choices between them. And so they should be looking at an unranked list. Every once in a while, there'll be a pool coming forward where there's not three, maybe two, and of course the presidents get frustrated, and once in a great while they may have the committee forwarding one, and there's a lot of consternation, including some discussion about maybe going back out for that. So we want to make certain the presidents and the chancellor have a good pool of people to look at when it arrives at their level, which is the second level. When it hits the second level, the reference checks are conducted, and there's at least 3 references described in the announcement. We check with the current supervisors, previous supervisor, colleagues and coworkers, and I'll be talking about this a little bit more later in this presentation. When the president or the chancellor, they have an unranked list of finalists, which is crucial. That way they can actually interview and make their own determinations. They invite other administrators and managers to participate, and the questions are approved by the vice chancellor or designee regarding that second level. On the reference check, we're exploring the pilot program, which may take a little longer time once it leaves the president chancellor's desk and comes to the Board of Trustees, where we've employed the service of a third-party reference check to look at the references from outside the district. So they're going to be looking at, first of all, to verify employment, verify education, and also civil court records. We'll also be looking at for other positions such as administrators and managers and probably faculty, using another party to do a much more extensive search, physically talking to 5 to 10 different people, many of them outside the list of references, to make certain that we have the highest quality candidates coming forward to the Board of Trustees for final recommendation. So that's we're looking at a pilot program. We're in the final stages of completing contracts for that. So that should be very exciting. So with that, finally, once the committee has a recommendation, it goes to the chancellor. He signs a form called the Authorization for Hiring, and then that's placed on your agenda for ratification. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Trustee Wright.
David, thank you for your presentation. It was well done. Just a couple of quick questions. Mm-hmm. I've heard that there's even a third level interview process going on right now. If that happens, that would be the call of the president or the chancellor. And frankly, the policy doesn't specifically say third level, but if they wanted to have one, that's possible. Okay. And then finally, do we say anything in there about reference letters, that they be current and not 4 or 5 years old? It doesn't say that. No, because I see on many committees that I served on a number of years ago where they'd be 4 and 5 years old, which really don't. They're outdated. Yes. So reference letters, some areas like reference letters and some areas don't. Right. Typically, if you're going to be asking for references, the people will not write you a negative reference letter. And if they did, you wouldn't be submitting that. So usually reference letters will all be positive. But that said, some committees prefer that. And faculty, frankly, a lot of faculty committees prefer reference letters because it gives them a trail of references to go through on that. So that's something there. But a lot of times in administrator reference checks, it depends on the committee. You may have anywhere from 5 to 8 different references to check. What we want to do, especially on this group, is to go out past who they're recommending, because nobody's going to list references of people who say bad things about them. We want to go find out what kind of employees they are, and we want to do that before it comes to the Board of Trustees. Sure. So we're looking at that even further to the point of hiring a third-party administrative company to look at reference checks, and they would ask questions of those that are submitted, plus also previous supervisors and other people in the industry. I understand. Thank you.
Trustee Jemal.
David, 2 questions. Thank you for your presentation. I'm forgetting at which listening session this issue came up. Chancellor, do you remember? Just out of curiosity.
Which listening session?
I thought it was both.
Oh, okay. At both sessions it came up. So 2 questions. Do you think is the process with the fact that neither college has an HR function, and that the HR services are centralized within district services, and with I think the majority of the hiring taking place at the college level in terms of numbers, does the process work well? Is there anything that can be done to improve that process?
We're looking at that right now. We have a difficulty with the policies themselves. They're very complicated, very specific, and they were generated based upon a lawsuit back in the mid-2000s. And so with that, we developed these policies that really micromanage the process from beginning to end. We're looking at trying to open up the process more, of actually having the managers having more input into the process and actually controlling some of the details of the process as well. So we're actually going to be looking at that in the next month, because it's just almost impossible to manage and not have a backlog every single January, February, March, where we're in the middle of faculty hiring season, then other hires come in. It's very difficult to manage that. So we're going to look at revising it again, trying to push out some of the responsibility more to the college and also the chairs of the committee, which other colleges give more responsibility to about scheduling items. So really both colleges have human resources. It really is located at district services. We're actually one entity called South Orange Community College District. But that said, we want to make sure we're serving the colleges even better than we are today.
So thank you. And in terms of my second question, in terms of in the area of reference checking, how are we approaching the use of social media and the internet when it comes to examining the qualifications of candidates?
Carefully. people may have stuff on social media, and one of the great difficulties, we've had a lot of dialogue on this, if you have people on the committee out there checking social media, people say some difficult things on social media. Some of them are not applicable to the job. And sometimes somebody may post things of their own, and that may actually put them in a certain group. When it comes down to using social media references, we have to use them with a grain of salt, because not everything out there is 100% accurate. So when it comes down to, will we be using social media, we'll be doing it cautiously, and we'll try to keep those requests in the Human Resource Office rather than having the committee doing it themselves, because sometimes there's some inaccurate things that just are out there. So we're going to use it cautiously, but check.
Okay. Trustee Lang?
Yes, I certainly endorse this pilot program that you're exploring. Obviously, the resumes that we get, the employment packages that people submit often are of a self-serving nature, so that to the extent that we can get third-party validation, I think that's important to avoid making a bad hire, if you will. But I guess where do you cross the line in terms of privacy considerations, and how is that entering into your discussions on the pilot program?
Well, on the pilot program, everybody that participates will have to sign a release, and we'll have it on record formally. And that way we can go back and do those checks. So you are correct. When we make a hire, though, if you start looking at an issue like faculty hires, the average faculty stays 20.6 years here. You're looking at a multi-million-dollar investment long-term. And then the other part is the faculty members on the committee themselves, they may have that person sitting and sharing their office with them. So they want to make certain that person's really good. So that said, we have different ranges, anywhere from 20.6 years for full-time faculty down to 5.8 years for adjunct faculty. They'll stay around. So every single hire that we do is an investment by the district into the future of our district. So it's critical. So we're going to go through in the reference checking. We're beefing it up because we want to make certain that we have the best people coming forward and don't have to sit to reverse a decision that we made. And it takes hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes to take care of that. So, or tens of thousands. Hopefully not hundreds.
Oh,
Hi,
yes.
Claire Cesario, Faculty Association President. I would just like to make a comment. This did come up at the listening sessions, and I know a lot of the shared governance groups would like to look at this policy and revise some of it in much the same way we looked at the faculty hiring policy, look at the hiring policy for administrators. For example, one of the issues is the composition of the hiring committee. So you're hiring a dean, and there's very little faculty representation on those committees, which is not in alignment with standard practices in other community college districts. So we would like to look at a number of issues in the policy. Thank you.
Seeing no further requests to speak, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
So next we're at the consent calendar, and I imagine we have some polls. Trustee Wright?
I'd like to pull 5.4, 5.6, and 5.18.
Okay. 5.4, 5.6, and 5.18. Seeing no other requests for polls, I'll entertain a motion for the balance of the consent calendar.
Second.
A motion from Trustee Lang, a second from Trustee Jemal for the balance of the consent calendar. Seeing no other requests, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. We have a unanimous yes vote with 2 trustees absent and 1 student advisory absent. So, 5.4, Irvine Valley College student out-of-state travel. Trustee Wright, would you like to speak?
Yes,
to
the
your
reason
poll?
I asked this to be pulled, it was Irvine Valley College. It was a student out-of-state travel, but they've already done the out-of-state travel. They went on March 22nd, returned on March 28th. That should have been, why wasn't that done earlier?
Yes, it should have been. All I can do is apologize. There was a skip in the process on that.
That was the same thing for 5.6.
That's right.
It was the same. So.
And that gap has been filled.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Move approval.
We have a motion to approve for 5.4 and 5.6.
Yes.
Okay, and a second from Trustee Lang. Go ahead and vote on the item. Maybe. There we go.
I pushed it.
Trustee Milchker. It wasn't up yet. Trustee Milchker.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I was waiting to see if one said no, what would happen. Can't go. All right, so unanimous yes vote, two trustee absent, one student advisory absent as well. Vacant, sorry. All right, so then 5.18, Trustee Wright.
This is the academic calendar. Again, this is for 2016, 2017. I looked at it. I just had a couple of issues or concerns. One was that for the fall 2016, there are 87 instructional days, and then in the spring, there's 91. 87 days in the fall, 91 in the spring. Is there a reason for that? For the difference in days?
I would address the question.
Hi, Kathy Schmeidler, President of IVC Academic Senate. Well, since I've been here, the spring semester has always been longer than the fall semester.
Okay.
When I teach a two-day-a-week class, I typically have 2 extra days in the spring compared to the fall.
Yeah.
That would add up to 4 extra days, more or less, in the
Right.
in the spring than the fall. So this is the 20th year that I've observed this. I'm sure
There hasn't been that. I don't think there's been 4. There's been a couple, but not 4.
Well, I only know my classes, and there's usually 2 extras in the spring.
Okay.
Why? I think it has to do with what seem to be hard stops on the semester. We have a hard stop usually for Christmas, and we have a hard stop for Memorial Day.
Right.
And if of course, at IVC, we keep trying to move the beginning of spring semester further closer to Memorial Day, which would make the discrepancy between the 2 semesters less, but this is as close as we've been able to get. The problem with moving the beginning of the fall semester earlier is twofold. It runs into the summer sessions, and then the summer sessions get compressed too much. And the other problem is the difficulty that it presents to students in the area who, for whatever reason, find it very difficult to come back to school earlier than the last 2 weeks of August, which is what we currently have. As far as I'm concerned, of course, we could move it closer to Christmas, but I think I'd get a lot of pushback from my colleagues from that.
And
another issue that I had was, again, this summer is still 11 weeks. I always liked the 12-week summer, so you could have 2 6-week sessions where you could teach 2 courses. And now with 11-week, it's difficult to do that.
Well, the committee deferred to the vice presidents for instruction, mostly on that.
Okay.
And but again, the problem is the number of weeks in the year.
I know it. Okay.
you could change the calendar, though, right? Like,
And then the last thing,
weeks.
the last issue that I have is again,
Comes after Gregorian, right?
There you go.
the last issue I had is that again there's almost a month break between the fall and the spring, and again veterans don't get paid that month, so
Oh, yeah.
I worry about that.
Well, again,
I know they make up for it, but
they make up for it, and there may be classes that get offered during that period of time until faculty see that that's a reliable span of time. It's very difficult to get anybody to commit to writing curriculum that would fit there. It's not appropriate to take that short a period of time and try to cram a regular semester class in there, but there are specialty classes that are offered at colleges across the country to great effect, wonderful teaching tools, field courses, immersion language courses, all sorts of things that could fit into that time, as well as counseling. And I know at IVC, our facilities people, our IT people, and our A&R feel that span of time greatly enhances their ability to ready the college for the next semester. And in particular in A&R counseling, they find that extra period of time to be incredibly important for good counseling. As you know, there's a big student success initiative at the state that's funding lots of additional sorts of counseling, not just additional amount of counseling, but different sorts of counseling, and asking us to explore different ways of increasing student success with counseling and counseling-related sorts of activities. And certainly at IVC, and I can't speak for Saddleback, but at IVC we have good plans for that, the use of that period of time to increase student success.
I'm still concerned about those issues. So,
I have a motion from Trustee Lang to approve. Second from Trustee Jemal. See no further requests to speak. We'll go and vote on the item. All right, unanimous yes vote. One trustee absent. One student advisory absent. Okay. Moving on to 6.1. I have, 6.0. Says now that we're at 6.1, we have a public hearing for Saddleback College exterior lighting and controls retrofit project, Phase 1 energy services contract. Before we have that public hearing, Vice Chancellor Deborah Fitzsimmons will provide an introduction. And she's not here, so that's going to be tough for her to do. You know, I got a script here, people.
You're sticking to it very well.
Oh, there's Kim.
Yes, so I have a copy of the same script, and
Thank
I will step in for Deborah this evening. So the agenda item pertains to a public hearing to allow the district to enter into a contract for an energy service contract pursuant to the requirements of California Government Code 4217. This code permits public agencies to enter into an energy service contract on terms that its governing body determines are in the best interests of the public agency. This process entails using a formal request for proposal, RFP, process. There are two other board items that relate to this public hearing, items 6.2 and 6.3. After approval for the use of this approach, each project will be presented to the board on its own merit and relative to the project's specific findings. Agenda item 6.2 will authorize SOCCCD on behalf of Saddleback College to enter into an energy service contract for their exterior lighting and controls retrofit project, Phase 1, and agenda item 6.3 is the item presented for your approval for the vendor contract, which is an energy service contract with Anderson and Howard Electric Incorporated for the Saddleback College exterior lighting and controls retrofit project, Phase 1. If you have any questions throughout the public hearing process this evening, both Brandy Delana and myself are here to assist.
All right. So does the board have any questions to staff or our consultants to assist with their understanding of this matter? Seeing.
Can you just state the savings to the district that is in the
I'm going to ask Brandy to speak towards that.
Okay.
Hi there, I'm Brandy Delana. The annual yearly utility savings is approximately $68,000. So, savings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So at this point, we'll temporarily adjourn the meeting to open a public hearing on the matter at hand. So that public hearing is now open. This gives an opportunity for the public to issue comments not to exceed 5 minutes. Do we have any from the public wishing to speak on this issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. We'll re-adjourn and then have any further discussion on this matter.
Second.
All right, so 6.1 is now concluded. We'll move approval by Trustee Lang, second by Trustee Jemal. Actually, we don't need an approval on this one, do we? It was just a public hearing. So we approve 6.2 and 6.3. So we have an adopt a resolution number 1512, authorizing entering into energy service contract for exterior lighting and controls retrofit project Phase 1 at Saddleback College.
Move approval.
So I have a motion to approve 6.2 from Trustee Wright and a second from Trustee Milchiker. You can go ahead and vote electronically. Trustee Milchiker.
Oh, I voted. There.
All right, so we have a unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and one student advisory absent. Now we'll move to 6.3. The resolution is approved. We may move to the last item. It's item 6.3, Saddleback College Exterior Lighting and Controls Retrofit Project, Phase 1, Award of Energy Services Contract, Anderson and Howard Electric, Inc., for the amount of $780,000. So now we need a motion and a second for 6.3.
Second.
Motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Wright. See no further requests to speak. We'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote. One trustee absent, one student advisory absent. So now we'll move to 6.4. Recommendation for SOCCCD board members to nominate 7 candidates to the CCCT Board of Directors. So we've all been getting emails and mail from candidates that would like us to vote for them. Does anybody have any motions or recommendations?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have, looking at the list, there are 10 names on the list. 5 of them are incumbents. We can nominate up to 7 to support. Trustee Wright.
I voted on this. I looked at all the nomination forms.
Microphone, please.
I looked at all the nomination forms, and I recommend for approval number 1, Ann Ransford, number 2, Janet Shanote, number 4, Bernard B. Jay, number 5, Don Egger, number 6, Brent Hasty, number 7, Janet Green, number 9, Doug Otto.
Okay. Does anybody have any objection to that list, or
Go first.
Trustee Lang?
I have a comment too.
Microphone, please.
Pardon me. I think the only ones that I had were, instead of candidates 5 and 6, I had picked 8 and 10, and all the rest being the same as what Trustee Wright had chosen.
And I had candidate 10 as well.
And I had candidate 10 as well also. He's from the North Orange Community College District. It's nice to have a member from Orange County.
Willing to be accommodating here?
Well, I can be accommodated. The only reason I didn't pick him is I looked at his statement of the major issues and what he was going to do, and I thought it was very weak. But he did write a nice letter.
Can I ask? I asked this, I think, last year, and I've forgotten the answer, so I'll ask it. Do we have to vote on 7?
No, you don't.
No, you up to 7.
Okay.
But no, I'm willing to vote for number 10.
So we have a unanimous on 1, 2, 4, 7, 9. So that's 5. It sounds like you're willing to go with 10.
Yes.
Who would you let go?
Number 6.
Number 6. Okay. So that leaves us with 5 or 8. If we can't agree, we could just go with 6. 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, and 10.
I'm okay with that.
That's fine.
Is that okay? Because it's up to 7, but we can go with just 6.
Do you want to amend your motion?
So, well, we haven't had a motion yet. He was just listing names. So I'll entertain a motion to what are we actually doing here? Nominate up to 7. So we're nominating numbers 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, and 10. So that would be Ann Ransford from Glendale Community College District, Janet Shinot from Mendocino Lake, Bernard B. J. Jones from Allen Hancock, Janet Green from Riverside, Doug Otto from Long Beach, and Tony Monteveros from North Orange County. Is that the motion?
So moved.
All right, and seconded. Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on this. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and one student advisory absent. 6.5, vacancy in Trustee Area 3. So the recommendation for the board is to adopt either Resolution 1514, which is Exhibit A, ordering a special election, or adopt Resolution 1515, calling for the appointment of a provisional board member. If the decision is to appoint a provisional board member, the Chancellor further recommends that the board adopt Resolution 1516, which establishes the procedure for appointment of provisional board member. So the proper way to do this, Robert's Rules, is someone needs to make a motion for one of those two resolutions and a second, and then it can open up for discussion. So I'll entertain a motion for either a special election or for the appointment process.
I move to have the appointment process because I understand we've...
No discussion. Just
no
move.
discussion, just... Okay.
I second.
move for that.
A motion and a second. All right. So we have a motion from Trustee Milchker and a second from Trustee Wright. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yeah, I understand that staff has consulted the registrar of voters, and it's going to cost us between $2.4 and about $2.4 million to have an election because our district is so enormous that we have to reach over 1 million voters, and we have to pay for all the ballots. We have to pay because no one else is there to pay, so our district has to pay for the election, and I just think that's a pretty big expense now, seeing all the needs we have in our district right now.
Okay. Anybody else? Trustee Lang.
Yes, as loath as I am to exercise our powers of appointment, because I think wherever possible, it's always appropriate to leave that decision to the voters. In this case, given the substantial cost involved with the special election, I'm inclined to go along with the others on the appointment process.
That's your job.
May I do it now?
Yeah, in just a minute. Not after we finish this item.
Okay.
Okay. Is that why you pulled that?
No, I want
you
to
have
speak on
another?
the,
All right.
on the motion.
Trustee Jemal.
So I agree with Trustee Lang. I think that wherever possible, these are elected seats, and so I think it's almost always in the interest to try to have an election so that the voters of the South Orange County Community College District can do what they're entitled to do, which is elect someone to this board. It's an untimely passing of a great trustee that we're in this situation, and I think it's cost prohibitive for this district at this time to have a special election for this seat, and reluctantly, I support the motion to move forward with an appointment process. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no further requests to speak, we'll do an oral vote because it's a resolution. No? We can do electronic? Okay. We can go ahead and do electronic. You have a unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory absent. So with that, we'll move to 6.6, resolution support. I'm sorry. It's too far ahead. No, we still have Resolution 1516, Exhibit C, which is establishing the procedure. Just for sake of information, the Chancellor and I and his staff worked on the timeline to meet the requirement that a position be filled within 60 days of the vacancy and the passing of our trustee colleague. So we are on kind of a timeline there, so those procedures follow the state guidelines as well as meet the timeline. So I'll entertain a motion for 1516.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Trustee Wright, second from Trustee Jemal. Seeing no requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. It's a unanimous yes vote with one trustee absent and one student advisory absent. Now moving on to 6.6, Resolution in Support of College and Career Access Pathways Act, Assembly Bill 288. Trustee Milchker referred to this a little earlier in her report. Do I have a motion to support this resolution?
Second.
A motion from Trustee Wright, second from Trustee Milchker. Is there any presentation need or Any questions? None. We'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote with one trustee absent, one student advisory absent. Next, 6.7, authorization of payment to trustee absent from board meeting. Authorized payment to Trustee Padberg.
Second.
Motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Wright. Seeing no request to speak, we'll vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory absent. 6.8, authorization of payment to trustee absent from board meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. Go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent and one student advisory absent. 6.9, retiree OPEB trust actuary report and recommended funding. Is there any information on this?
Kim, can you answer the question or make a presentation?
Just a brief overview of what we're approving.
Yes, so every year we have an actuary do a study on our retiree benefit trust and to see if we're adequately funded for our liabilities that we have. And so this is the current year report that does state we are adequately funded. We have enough set aside right now for all of our future obligations. And we are recommending that we put in our normal costs, which is the cost that each person accrues as they work, so that by the time they retire, enough is there to pay for their retiree benefits. So that's a recommendation.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Wright. Go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote and one trustee absent, one student advisory absent. Now comes my favorite part of every meeting. I will entertain a motion to extend the meeting.
So move.
Yeah, you have to motion a certain time.
What time do you suggest?
Based on what we have left.
I move to extend the meeting to 9:30.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. We'll go ahead and vote on the item.
I hope it's not that long.
Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory absent. All right, now on to 6.10, procure furniture and fixtures using piggyback agreement between the Foundation for California Community Colleges and Steelcase.
Second.
Motion to approve from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Jemal. Is there any information we need on this besides what's given? All right, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory absent. 6.11, adopt resolution 1513, declaration of emergency electrical switchgear transformer at Saddleback College Fine Arts Complex.
Move approval.
Okay, everybody wants to fix that switch. All right. Trustee Wright, motion, second to Trustee Lang. Seeing no request to speak or more information, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory absent. 6.12, Saddleback College BGS Fire Repairs Project, award of bid number 2031.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no request to speak, we'll vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory absent. 6.13, Saddleback College Sciences Building, Testing and Special Instruction Services Agreement Amendment. We have a motion from Trustee Lang,
Second.
second from Trustee Wright,
I have a comment, question.
and a request to speak, though it's not on my screen, from Trustee Jemal.
And I know she's ready. So this amendment to the contract is a fairly significant increase, and I'd just like to know from the administration the justification for this.
Absolutely. So this is for the Sciences Project, which is a highly complex and large project. And whenever we hire testing and inspection services,
we have known variables at the time of hiring for those inspection services. As we progress through the project, some unforeseen circumstances are really anticipated, and in a project of this size can become quite large. In this case, there were utilities that were rerouted. That would be the hot and cold waters underneath the building, and a sewer also that was rerouted, and in this rerouting it required extra testing services. There were some complications, as you have already heard about, in the pile installation on the building. So there were approximately 138 piles that were designed to be installed. There were an additional 40 either repairs or additional piles that were installed, and those installations also had to be tested, as well as some more excessive testing on follow-up on the piles that hadn't yet been installed. So additional testing there. Steel fabrication on these buildings can happen in one or numerous locations, and in this case it happened in numerous locations, and each one of those locations required a special welding inspector at the location. And then finally, on-site steel inspections hadn't yet been chosen when we let this contract. We didn't know if we would be going with a steel inspector on site using this original contract, or if we would go out for those services using another contractor. And so after we evaluated it, we determined that this contractor would be the one that we would use, and so those are additional services in this contract. It's not uncommon for this type of service to add to it as we progress through these unforeseen circumstances, but we don't want to guess what those might be initially. And so that's why you would see this increase. The budget for testing and inspection services it's budgeted at about 3% of the construction overall budget hard cost. And right now, the original contract was at 0.5%, and we're at 1.5%. So we don't ever hope to reach 3%, but that's what it's typically budgeted at.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hard to imagine $880,000 is under budget, but we'll go ahead and entertain a motion for this. Oh, it's already been moved in second. All right.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote. 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes. 6.14, sabbatical revision and rescind. I have a motion from Trustee Lang, second from someone on that side.
Yeah, okay, one of us.
Marcia, we'll give it to Trustee Milcher. All right. Do we have any information that we need on this besides what's written? Nope. Okay. Go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote. 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory absent. 6.15, adopt resolution 1517, classified employee layoff.
Second.
Motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Jemal. You have the resolution in your packet. Trustee Wright.
Just a quick question. What area is this going to happen in?
I believe this is out at ATEP. Okay, Career Workforce Program. So it's a grant funded.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Seeing no further requests to speak, we'll vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote. 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory absent. Okay, so I now have 2 resolutions that we're going to pass down the row for you guys to sign before the end of the meeting. Moving on now to 6.16, initial proposal, California State Employee Association. So this is sunshining their contract negotiations.
Accept for review and study. Second.
So we have an accept for review and study from Trustee Lang and a second from Trustee Wright. Go ahead and vote on that. Unanimous yes vote. 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes. 6.17, academic personnel actions. Any changes?
1.
Okay.
If you could look on page 6 of 6, underneath F1, we want to change it from August 27th to July 27th.
Okay. Page 6 of 7.
Oh, 6 of 6.
Oh, 6 of 6.
Yes.
We have 7.
F1.
We have 7. 6 of 6. Got it. Exhibit A.
Exhibit F1.
F1.
Yes.
And it should be changed from
Catherine Rangel?
August. Yes, it should
Okay.
be changed from August to July.
August to July. Okay.
And that's it.
Do I have a motion and a second? Motion from Trustee Jemal. Second from Trustee Wright. Seeing no request to speak, we'll vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote. 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory absent. 6.18, classified personnel actions. Any changes?
No, sir.
No changes.
So moved.
Motion from Trustee Jemal, second from Trustee Wright. No request to speak. We'll vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 1 student advisory absent and trustee absent. Okay. 7.0, reports. 7.1, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College speakers. Any requests for more information on that? Seeing none. 7.2, basic aid report. Anything to highlight? 7.3, facilities plan status report. 7.4, oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Wright.
Just a quick question. How far behind are we in the sciences building? 2 months or
Yes, it's actually 70 days.
70 days? Okay. Thank you.
7.4, monthly financial status report. And then 7.5, retiree OPEB trust, which we just heard is doing well. So then now we're moving on to reports from administration and governance groups, starting with Dan Walsh, Saddleback College Academic Senate.
You guys heard from me earlier in the public comments, so I will, interest of time, no report.
Okay. Faculty Association, Claire Cesario Silva.
Claire Cesario, Faculty Association President.
Name tags.
It's okay. First off, the Faculty Association would like to extend our condolences to Bobby and the Jay family. Bill was a strong supporter of faculty and of students, serving at one time as Faculty Association President and Chief Negotiator, and his perspective as well as his smile will be sorely missed. Many of us attended the memorial held, and it was very touching to hear the many stories of his time at Saddleback. Secondly, I want to comment on the very heartfelt comments made by my faculty colleagues here tonight. Our faculty are truly some of the most dedicated in the state and work well beyond the hours for which they are compensated. What you heard both in their voices and in what the content of the remarks were is the very real hurt and disillusionment they felt when learning of the district's counterproposal. As one faculty member commented, it should be us and we working together to ensure that we continue to attract the best and brightest teachers so that our students get the superior education they have always received here. And in fact, many of our students, such as Malia, who spoke here tonight, often tell us that when they transfer to places like Berkeley and Columbia, they continue to think that the professors here had the greatest impact on their success and were the best teachers that they had. Working together to recognize the worth of our part-time faculty and to end their continued exploitation, which is truly all that it can be called. Working together to pay the faculty a wage that allows them to live a good life and raise children within our district and become full-fledged members of the community so that they can use their precious time working with students rather than driving on the freeways. I am hopeful that this is just a stumbling block on the road to a fair and amicable negotiation process. Thank you.
Okay. Irvine Valley College Academic Senate, Kathleen Smidler.
I echo the report of my colleague Claire, and otherwise no report.
Okay. Associate Vice Chancellor Economic Development is not here. Vice Chancellor Technology and Learning Services.
No report.
No report. Vice Chancellor Human Resources.
Just additional condolences to Bobby. He was a former Vice Chancellor of Human Resources, so I've always identified to some extent, and also that wonderful smile he had. That said, we also recently HR participated in a job fair at Pendleton, so just as a comment to the board. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chancellor Business Services, not here. Kim, you want to take that one too? No? Okay. Irvine Valley College Classified Senate, Vince Cooper.
Good evening, sir. Vincent Cooper, President, IVC Classified Senate. First, I'd like to congratulate Corinne Raymond, Senior Administrative Assistant of Athletics and Kinesiology, for being named IVC's Classified Employee of the Year. I also like to thank Chancellor Portner for his support of the Classified Staff Development Day. I've heard nothing but a lot of good, positive, successful stories and remarks about it. So thank you, sir, for your support. I appreciate Trustee Wright and his attendance for being there. Thank you very much. And also our presidents and vice presidents that were there for the award ceremony. Thank you.
Did you do the ropes course, Trustee Wright? No? CSCA.
Scott Ferguson Green, President of CSA Chapter 586. I echo the sentiments of my colleague, President Cooper, on the Classified Professional Development Day. Wanted to thank the district, Chancellor Portner, the college vice presidents, the vice presidents who all were in attendance. It was something that was really good for the classified staff. They learned team building. They learned to depend on each other, especially on the high ropes, which was something that, in observation of that, I see that they needed to depend on each other just to get across. So that was something that was really, really good to see, that they were willing to depend on each other. I also wanted to give congratulations to the Classified Employees of the Year. As mentioned, Corrine Raymond from IVC, Mark Zarakowski from Saddleback College, and Myra Arias from the District Services. So that was good. Also, thank you very much, Board of Trustees, for receiving our Chapter 586 CSEA successor agreement. We're looking forward to negotiations. We're going to move ahead with negotiations as we get closer through this process, and we look forward to having a new CBA before the end of the year. Thank you.
All right. Saddleback College, Classified Senate.
Mike Sauter, Classified Senate President for Saddleback College. Would like to echo the comments about Classified Day, the Professional Development Day. It really was a team-building whole event, starting with the committee. It was a collaborative effort led by Saddleback College, but with cooperation from IVC and the district services as well, to put on the event to showcase teamwork and synergy in the workplace. Thank you for the support, Chancellor and the college presidents for coming out, and of course, Trustee Wright for coming. And I heard a rumor that Marshall might come, and we actually saved a spot for you in the high rope, just in case.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Darn, I wish I had been there. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, and congratulations to our Employee of the Year, Mark Zarakowski. It was great being able to honor him with that, as he did announce his retirement at the event. So we will be sad to see him go. But on to bigger and better things, I'm sure, for him. But other than that, really appreciated it, and thank you very much.
I had a swim that day, but I was ready for that course. I really was. Anyway, so tonight we adjourn our meeting in memory of our own colleague, Bill Jay. Bill dedicated his career to serving students in South Orange County. He brought a wealth of institutional knowledge to our board and provided mentorship, support, and continuity. His passing is a great loss to our board, our community, and his family, colleagues, and friends. Thank you.